Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to the second episode of the Founders Fire, where we talk to purpose driven founders who've turned their truth into thriving ventures. Today's guest is one of my absolute favorites. Parul, please come on camera now. We're ready to have you live with us. Parul is someone who left the safe, shiny halls of corporate life and the weight of a 70-year-old family legacy. She's the fourth generation of jewelers to build something completely on her own. Welcome, Parul, to the
Thank you
Founder
so
Fire. And
much.
we're
Hi,
so honored
everyone.
and happy to have you on this podcast.
Yes, I'm very thrilled to be here. Very excited to get started as well.
All right. So, for all of us here, Parul, the first question: who is Parul Sharma?
I'm a mother of two to begin with. I am a Jaipur girl. I love my legacy. I love the art and culture of the city. And yes, I'm the founder of Gold Sutra. The idea behind Gold Sutra is that, I offer all these traditional design in a contemporary way. So I think after 14 years of corporate world and with the option to inherit the traditional family business, I chose to build something uniquely of my own, rooted in legacy but designed for today's world. So, Gold Sutra is actually a way of keeping our heritage alive, relevant, and wearable. So, yeah, that's who I am, a Jaipur girl by heart, a fourth generation jeweler by legacy, and completely a storyteller by soul.
Absolutely. What I really love about what you do, Parul, and we, I think, met over a year ago. When did we? I think maybe a little over a
Yes,
year
yes,
ago. What
yeah,
I really love that I've always felt and believed that businesses should be created out of your innate talents. And when
yeah,
you go to
yeah,
monetize that, that's when it happens easily and success comes naturally. So you are
exactly.
one of those people, and that's why I absolutely love what you do, is you've taken the best of, like, you're working with your strengths, right? Your marketing background, your knowledge. You have so much knowledge about gold and the sustainability angle of it, which we'll talk about even later, and why people buy, how they buy, especially women, and what is the psyche.
Yes,
Right, so you
absolutely. Yes,
really
yes.
picked on all of these aspects and created something, and just you were like so resourceful in order to do this. So really hats off to you and kudos to what you've created out of Gold Sutra. And of course, it's a long journey. It's a new brand. It's an upcoming brand.
Yes.
It's such a novel concept. Every time we talk about, oh, rental and gold jewelry, like it's
Yeah,
unheard of,
yeah, I get
right?
that reaction every time I tell
Like, what?
everyone,
Who
what?
does
Like
that?
I have to repeat myself, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm talking about real gold and diamond jewelry. Even when I talk to jewelers, they're like, "Oh my God, real diamond and gold jewelry on rent. Are you serious?" Yeah. So yes.
You walked away from not one but two comfort zones, your job, your family business. What were the thoughts that came to you when you were doing this? Were you terrified? Were you thrilled? How did you deal with it?
uh when you start something new, it's always exciting, right? So but when the excitement fades away, all those fears and doubts, they start to pop in. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, you start to self doubt everything. And then being a mom of two, I had a huge mom guilt, like, I'm immersing myself into something, am I doing justice to my kids? Will I be able to spend as much time with them or not? So you name it, and I felt it, but when you're walking away with something secure, especially with your kids and responsibilities, the fear gets really loud. But what helped me quit this fear was reminding myself that regret would definitely feel worse than, this risk. And honestly, my biggest pillar through all of it has been my husband. He believed in me so deeply that he gave everything of his own to Gold Sutra, just so I could give this dream a real shot. And that kind of love and belief, I think, gave me the courage to trust myself. I didn't have it all figured out, but I started anyway, small, slow, one day at a time. And, that's how the fear loses its grips.
So many people wait for the perfect time. एक दिन मैं ये मतलब मैं बड़ी होके ये करूंगी, whatever it is, right? How did you actually know that it's time to start? What was your actual day one like? Was it normal or was it like a big deal कि आपने मतलब नारियल फोड़ा और आपने बोला कि आज से it happens?
First of all, I don't believe in perfectionism. Perfectionism is the voice of an oppressor. And there was no one big day moment as such. Koi nariyal variyal nahi foda. But it was just as I mentioned that I was talking to my husband, and then we decided on that name, and then that just gave me so much conviction that okay, now this is it. This is all I have to do. And honestly, I didn't have it all figured it out at all. I still don't. Sometimes I feel, I'm really lost. But I knew I had to begin it. And then if you wait for a perfect time, a perfect moment, a perfect plan, it's just a trap you are falling into. You don't need clarity on the whole staircase. You just need the courage to take the first step and let the universe know that you are serious, because it always listens every single time.
What was your first step, Parul? What did you start off with? It came up as an idea. Did
So,
you know rental from day one? Or did you
no,
say I'm going to sell?
absolutely no. I knew that, I have to take this jewelry game to next level. I can't be doing everything that my dad has been doing for ages, because this is modern time. And then, I had to do something about it. So, but, as I mentioned that I love stories behind these jewelry. So the first thing that I did was I read about a lot of women jeweler entrepreneurs who are into this field, and that was the first step, not just to copy, but to learn from them. Where did they come from? How did they do it? What are they doing? What are the gaps that I can fill into, and what are their success stories, because that's the biggest inspiration. And once I studied that, obviously I did a long talk with my father, who is my backbone for this business. And I told him that this is something that I always wanted to do. And in fact, during my corporate career, there was a stint of 2 years when I worked with him in Jaipur itself. And so he understood that this is something that has always been my dream, and this is something that I want to do. So we both sat down, and then we figured out as to how to do it, what to do, what designs to come up with, and then what is the market in Bangalore like, because I'm married and settled in Bangalore. So, we wanted to study the entire Bangalore market. What are the demands here? What do people prefer? What sort of target audience do I need to have? Because Bangalore and Jaipur are completely different. So to study the
Different,
entire
right?
market, people whom I'm going to cater to, is something that I did. And trust me, I'm still doing it. It's a constant learning process. So I meet a lot of people, and then I get to learn something new about them every single day.
Tell us this, Parul, like being the fourth generation jeweler, you talked about your husband being so supportive, your father being so supportive. Did you ever feel the pressure to stick to the script? How did your family, extended family, respond to the idea of you doing something different? And when you told them about gold jewelry rental, being from a family of jewelers?
True, yes, and so let me tell you a very interesting story, that when I worked with my dad, when I was back in Jaipur for 2 years, those were the most difficult days of my life, because to convince my dad, who comes from a background where he doesn't want to
Traditional.
change anything, he doesn't want to take any risk. And he's telling me that you just graduated, like you did your MBA, and you think suddenly you know all the business, and you can't just come in one day and tell me the way we have been doing it is wrong. So which I never did, but then obviously change is something that most people are averse to, and then it's very uncomfortable to get out of your comfort zone, right, and to do something new. But it took me a lot of time to convince him that I could do something. And talking about my extended family, I have the most amazing in-laws. They have supported me throughout, not just physically, but emotionally. And they are my loudest cheerleaders. Yes, my dad has been the real foundation of all of this, but I can proudly say that, my entire family has been supportive, like so much that it's just a blessing, and I don't want to like jinx it by saying anything more, but my dad never handed me any rule book. He gave me the freedom to try and to fail and to figure it out. At the same time, he criticized me a lot, and I think that really helped me learn a lot of things. Because yes, when I'm talking to other jewelers now, I understand their mindset, their psyche, and I know, like, this is the same exact situation I was with my dad few years back, and I have to deal this exactly. So he prepared me for what I wanted to do. So it doesn't feel very, difficult now. So it's not a script, but with all the criticism and then freedom to fail was the biggest lesson, that I learned while I worked with him. So because of him, I get to blend the legacy with my creativity, and I never felt boxed in. I felt trusted, and yeah, that trust is what allowed Gold Sutra to take its shape in such a fresh and authentic way.
All of us there, you realize how important this ecosystem of family is. And for those who don't have that ecosystem, because not always that you can go back and talk to your partners about all the pain that you're going through. And that's why at ZAC, we're building a community which is called the ZAC Hard to Biz Network, which is primarily to give this support, especially for those who don't have that support, which might be in the form of family and friends, to be able to talk about the hardships, the wins, the pains. What does legacy mean to you, both personally and professionally? Right, you have two children, so now legacy also has another
Yeah,
connotation and
yeah,
meaning. You're also
absolutely.
your father's daughter. What does legacy mean to you?
So, personally, I think legacy is a way of life. It's not just about what you inherit, it's about how you carry it, transform it, and how you pass it on also. It's in the values, your decisions, your energy, and everything, and like where I come from, while assuring that what I do lives on long after me is what legacy is. You can't just let legacy fade. You have to nurture it. And professionally, Gold Sutra is that legacy in motion for me. It's my way of taking the richness of tradition and giving it a completely new take. And I wanted to make this culturally rich heritage into something which is modern, meaningful, accessible, especially to women today who are very, very conscious. So, yeah,
In what way conscious?
uh, conscious, as in, towards environment, towards everything. Like they want to do something about the environment. They want to, choose things which they can use in a multiple way, experiment with a lot of style, but do not want to spend, that much also. And they care about what they're investing into. And I come across brides, a lot of brides who rather than buying gold jewelry for their wedding would rather have an extended honeymoon, or they would even want to put in their hard-earned money or parents hard-earned money into the deposit for their own
Mm,
apartment.
mm.
So this is something, interesting stories that I come across. So these people are very, very conscious
Yeah,
about
so
what they're
conscious in two
spending
ways, you're
into.
saying. Right,
Yeah.
Parul? One is, of course, the spending, the amount of money that you have to spend today, especially gold being at 1 lakh a tola, whatever it is right now.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And it's only going to increase. So they're really thinking about how can I better utilize this money, right?
Correct.
Can I put it as an investment in another instrument as against just wearing it? So rental suddenly is becoming something which the new age woman is also thinking about, being conscious from not only a
Correct.
money angle, but even a way of how is it I can use this money better, right? And of course about the planet and that whole piece, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The contrarian view out here. Thanks, Zareen. Like, a country that practically worships gold. Uh, and then,
Yeah.
and it's called Sridhan and everything. How did you even begin to convince people it was okay to borrow it? Was there a moment when you thought maybe I should have just stuck
I
with
think it's a
like good
generational
jewelry?
shift. I didn't have to convince anyone. It's a generational shift. Like we talk about Gen Z, they are very, very sustainable. They are like all these startups that you see these days, they are all about sustainability. right? And I did not even know that. Like being a jeweler, I did not know that. But one of my clients told me how much carbon emission, happens just by the mining of gold, and how much it affects the environment. And how proud she was that I was doing it. Like, she gave me one more reason to do this, because I didn't know it, and I obviously didn't tell her that I didn't know it. I just agreed, yes, you are absolutely right. So it's a generational shift. And on the contrary, I do come across a lot of people, my age, and then obviously, elder to me, people who do not even believe in 14 carat or 18 carat. All they want is 22 carat, because purity is everything for them.
Mm.
These are connoisseurs who do not want to compromise on anything. If I offer them options like, would you rather have this in semi-precious stones, or, if you want, if the money is constrained, we can do it in 14 carat, 18 carat. They would always tell me that, I would rather wait and invest something into real thing, and then they don't even consider 14 and 18 carat real thing. So yes, we live in a world where these two people exist.
Your passion in how you interact with every customer and take that to the next level. And so this kind of gives us a great segue to move into the business aspect of it, from the idea to execution, right? So
Before we do that, just
yeah,
want to mention
sure,
one
sure,
thing, that
absolutely.
jewelry business, why I'm so involved in customers is because jewelry business is completely based on trust.
Mm,
Even when I keep telling people that, I'm a fourth generation jeweler, I have this jewelry background. Gold Super is a new brand. It's just an extended version of my legacy brand, etc. Why would somebody trust me? So it's about me building that trust by engaging with them, doing something which nobody else is doing it for them, right? So that's because the entire jewelry business is built on this trust, that this is something, that I can offer and you can trust me with it. So yes.
yes.
And that's such
And
a wonderful point because, whether it's a gold business or any other business, the cornerstone is trust. And if you are a new business owner or a existing one, it is all about having that interaction with customers. So very well said, Parul, on this one.
and as the price point increases, the trust factor only needs to be stronger and better,
True,
right?
true, true,
Yeah,
true.
so exactly. So what were your first 90 days, the first 3 months as a founder like? What did you focus on? And when you look back, what were the mistakes that you had made, in the beginning, the initial part of it?
Uh, yes. So my first 90 days were a complete mess. We decided on this name, and then, I studied a lot about other women entrepreneurs, not just
Yeah, you
women
said that.
entrepreneurs. I studied about a lot of other jewelers also, about markets. So a lot of time would go into, just figuring out, what I am building, and,
Yeah.
what do I need? What is going to be my USP? And
Mm,
what is it that I have to offer? Then came the website thing where, I decided that, okay, I will start with building a website where, I will just put everything in front, and then, we'll do the social media, etc. So my first 90 days were very chaotic, where, I was just figuring out, things to do. I just had one thing in my mind, that I have to be a jeweler. Like what kind of jeweler, what am I going to offer, how I'm going to offer. The rental thing also, came as an idea within first few months only. And to figure that out, the price points, there was a lot of back and forth. I think the third month of my business operation, I decided I cannot do this alone. And this was the biggest turning point for me when I hired Zach, you guys. And I think, it gave me a lot of confidence, because yes, my husband was there to support me, but then he was not involved in the business
day-to-day
operations.
operations.
And then,
Yeah.
he would give me tech advice, and he would interact with the website guy to make sure that the entire website was secure, and, everything. But I had to figure out everything, and I just could not do everything because it was a mess in my head. I could not structure it. So the biggest mistake I would say is, I could not structure anything. I needed a plan, a structure, a strategy to do everything. And, I just started spending money on finding agencies, and then, creating social media templates without having a plan.
Mm,
So, to get all these things to structure, I hired experts. And you guys were of great help to me, putting everything into set stones and milestones for me, which made the next 6 to 9 months really, really smooth. And I don't think so I could have done it without you guys. I wouldn't have been able to made a sale or a rental, without you. So you guys were a huge support.
Thank you so much, Parul, for saying that. It really feels good. But like we said, it's all about action takers, right? So it's as much as strategy is about implementation and doing what needs to be done.
Hmm.
And I think that is the biggest differentiator. And I like what you said that having, though there are so many ideas running in your head, right? Ye bhi karungi, wo bhi karungi, wo bhi karungi.
Yeah, yeah,
How do you put that all in a strategy? So at Zach, we've actually created an 8-step framework, and that's what we took,
yes,
which is called the How to Biz framework, which is what we took Parul through, which kind of just allowed you, you already had all the answers. And I
correct.
loved what you said right in the beginning, that
Yes,
you just knew you wanted to be a jeweler.
yeah,
There's a lot of work that we are also doing around identity. And the
correct.
first thing that they say is to be an entrepreneur, you have to say that I am an entrepreneur. Like, I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
That's where it
yes,
starts from. So I
yes.
loved how you said very unconsciously कि मुझे बस ये पता था that I wanted to be a jeweler.
Correct.
बाकी
Yeah,
सब
yeah, yeah.
देखा जाएगा.
Hi, Parul. So, first of
I
all, congratulations on this great venture. Sounds really interesting, renting out gold. This is something I've never heard of, and definitely I'm going to uh, see and check out what are the
I think Paru is
I
going
options.
to have a nice gift for us at the end, so you will get to check.
yes,
That
yes.
sounds amazing. So I just wanted to know I mean, how are you tracking which pieces will be liked and what is in trend and what would be returned, and basically to know customer demand. What are you doing to do that? That sometimes are you tracking the date that the customer will come for, or is how are you doing the demand forecasting kind of a thing, or or is it like you have already the jewelry and then customers have the option to go through that catalog and then they select? What is it?
Right. Thanks for the question, Shivani. I don't think so. I have gone through the entire process yet. So I'll briefly explain you the entire process. And if you want, we can get in touch after this podcast also, where if you want more details, I can give you because we are running short on time. So what happens is I do have an inventory of my own Kundan Polki sets. And since I'm based in Bangalore, there are a lot of people, who are not aware of this kind of jewelry. So when they see it, they love it, and then that's how they rent it. And obviously, I've just started, so the scale is not as big, and I'm operating at a very small level where these orders or the rental queries that I get, I'm able to manage them, just like on a very simple Excel sheet. So a query comes and I give the jewelry on rent by taking the entire amount as security deposit, which is the 100% value of the jewelry, and then I charge 7% rent. Or like it ranges from 7 to 10% depending on what the value is. The higher the value, the bigger the risk, so the bigger the commission also. So for every 2 days, I charge 7% rent, and on return, the jewelry is inspected. You have to send me the recorded video of packing and unpacking the jewelry so that I make sure that the damage was not done by you. In case there is any damage, I deduct the charges accordingly, and then yeah, that's it. In the end, happy you, happy me.
Interesting question, Shivani. What I also wanted to ask you is if you look at, when you start your entrepreneurship journey, there's vision boards, the espresso machines, and it's like, how when you get out of your MBA college, you're like, I'm going to straight away be that brand manager. So there's this whole glorified vision of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. And when you get home, so you're thinking about investors, money will come in, co-founders. So you started, you bootstrapped. So how did you actually start, raise funds? What was that experience like?
Honestly, I just had the conviction, that I needed to start. Yes, these fancy, I think I have overcome that stage of starting, the glorified startup scene of Bangalore. I think I've overcome that stage, and I know the ground reality. It all begins from you, and you just need to have the conviction. And it hasn't been so long that I started this journey, and gradually I know that things will fall in place. I may have a co-founder. I may soon get some investments from outside. Completely, it's completely bootstrapped as of now. And so it just begins with an idea. And I never wanted a fancy setup to begin with. This is all definition of perfectionism, which I never aimed from the beginning. So I think I have trust in what I believe in. I have trust in my family, who has complete faith and support me to whatever I do. And I think that's it. Taking one day at a time is something that you need to scale, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Hi, Parul. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Parul, for sharing your experience with us. I had a quick question.
Yeah.
So, despite having clarity and, despite taking the right action, how do you manage your thoughts and emotions on the days when you feel like, okay, I'm not getting the conversion, sales are not happening, the results, the desired results are not coming. And so, how do you like manage on those days?
Yeah, I think Zareen
Good
and Ankit know
question.
it, know
Yeah, like I
about it.
really was curious to know from Parul.
Yeah. So these guys exactly know how my bad days looked like, and I still have bad days, and bad days for me are exactly when things are stuck, nothing is working, and I'm completely mentally drained. So the whole idea behind, and this, I'm exactly quoting Zareen's word here. She told me, if you're having a bad day, deal with it, get over with it, distract yourself, spend time with kids, sleep or read a book, and just deal with it and get done with it. So if today is your bad day, tomorrow is not going to be a bad day, tomorrow is going to be a good day. So whatever it is that is required to be done, just do it and get done with it. So I think, that was the biggest motivation. That's why I, mentioned that having an expert is really, really important, because if I'm having a bad day and if there is nobody, who can help me get out of it, I think I wouldn't survive as an entrepreneur.
Lovely.
I
Thanks
think
for
that's
that
a very
reminder.
simple and great answer because we often tend to get very stuck up on it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Thank you for that question, Sakshi.
thank you, Parul.
Has your definition of success changed, since you've been an entrepreneur?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, what is success? Success is that I have started something that I always wanted to do, right? I am my own boss, and I'm not competing with anyone. I'm competing with myself. I am trying to be better every single day. And what I was, I think, few months back, I am not that person today. I'm better. So every day is a success, and I don't have to wait for a big moment to celebrate my success. Like every small thing is a success. A simple phone call from a customer who mentioned that I loved wearing your jewelry, it made me feel like a queen, is a success, and I celebrate that success also. If I get on a call with a jeweler and he tells me that he's ready to meet me to take things forward, I think that is success for me. So I'm no more bound with titles, like I am manager today, I'm VP today. I'm not no more bound with those titles, and I got a promotion and then I got a hike of 10%. No, every single moment, I can celebrate as success, because these things matter. These things is what it gives you the kind of fulfillment that you need.
That's so wonderful because it's so important to celebrate small wins. Like as you were saying, like, celebrating a call from a client, celebrating a call from a jeweler that you want to partner with. Sometimes you forget about doing that. So it's such a brilliant reminder. What did you have to unlearn as an entrepreneur? What did you have to change and what do you miss about your corporate life?
So, yes, very interesting question. I loved my corporate career. When I started, it was a different level of enthusiasm, and back then when I finished my MBA, I didn't know that, I will be taking on my family business. I had seen jewelry since my childhood and I loved it, but I never knew that, I was going to take it on. So I think my entire corporate experience was something that shaped, me into becoming this jeweler, that I wanted to become. And I have worked with a lot of multinationals like American Express, Hilton Hotels, Cisco, and I understand, people's buying behavior. I understand, how to get things done. I have that professionalism in me, working 14 years of my life into this corporate world. So I understand all these things. I know how to plan things and strategize things. And, I know how to work with people in order to get things done and get things moving. You can't do it all alone. It's a teamwork in a professional world, right? So all these things is something that I bring from the corporate culture. What I need to forget is, that I have to perfect everything in order to achieve. So in corporate, you have goals that you have to achieve, and then you are a good team leader, or then you're a good project manager. I don't have to achieve anything here. I just have to make small steps to make it bigger every single day. So there are no targets. There are targets, but then, it's not like I'm bound to do something. I'm free to achieve and become whatever I want to be.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
really looking forward to going on the website now. So, Parul, you're truly gold, not just what you built, but honestly, by sharing your story and giving us such goosebumps of explaining what you all went through to all our listeners. If today's conversation is something that sparked something in you, don't ignore it. Because
Yes.
whether you're ready to leap or just thinking about what your goal sutra could be, trust that you're not late.
Yeah, and
Yes.
happy to have that conversation with us. Yeah, just ping
Lovely
any of
having
us
this
you have a details.
conversation. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for
And,
joining, and thank you for
and thanks
having
for
me.
being with us. We'll see you next time on the Founders Fire.
Yes,
Same
definitely.
time next
Looking
week. See
forward.
you all. Thank you so much for taking your
Thank
time
you,
to be here.
everyone.
Lots of
Bye bye.
love.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. It was great. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Nareem and Gita. And
Take
thank you,
care,
Parul.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Have
everyone
a
who
you.
super
joined in.
day.
Bye.
Have a super
Bye.
day. Bye.
Bye.